Hello, my name is Rex Hallock, Senior Product Manager at CUI Devices. Today we'll be talking about our fan and blower products. First, we'll start with a technology overview, explaining the differences between fans and blowers. Then we'll go over how to choose a product based on specifications, we'll have a look at CUI Devices product offering, and finish up with some additional resources available to our customer base. Let's have a look at fans and blowers and compare the two technologies. Heat is an inescapable fact in electronic applications. That is, most devices will require some form of cooling, and most often forced air cooling is needed. An axial fan is a device where blades, also known as the impeller, rotate around an axis to draw air in parallel to that axis and force air out in the same direction. Or they pull in air from the back and move it out the front. Fans blow cool air across an area to help reduce the overall operating temperature of an electronic system. The example that we're all familiar with are the fans inside of our computers, which start up when the components inside the computer get a bit too hot. We notice these fans because we can hear them, as they can be rather noisy. Blowers are very similar to fans in terms of the end goal and performance specs, but mechanically they are a bit different. In a blower, the air is drawn in from one direction and expelled in a different direction, whereas fans pull in air in parallel to the direction the air is expelled. Blowers typically intake air and blow it through a cowl at 90-degree angle from the air intake. This allows for a more compressed air delivery and higher static pressure rating. Some people may be asking, when should I choose a fan over a blower or a blower over a fan? First, we'll address situations when forced air cooling is needed, whether it be a fan or a blower. Forced air cooling is needed when the heat generated by an electronic system is more than a conductive thermal solution, such as a heat sink, can handle. Fans and blowers provide an effective, efficient, and quick method of cooling when a system starts heating up. Again, think of your computer fans. Situations where you would choose a fan would be if you need airflow over a wide area. Due to the construction of fans, they provide higher level of airflows over larger areas. On the other hand, blowers deliver a more condensed airflow to a specific area. For example, if you want to cool just one particular chip on a board, a blower might be the right product. But if cooling the entire area in the system is needed, a fan might be the right product. Blowers should also be used when static pressure is high due to the condensed airflow design. Our first application example is something we may all be familiar with: server racks in the networking and telecom industry. These large racks generate a lot of heat and require an excessive amount of cooling due to their scale. Fans are used in excess here to cool the racks and move heat out of the racks. Think of companies like Google and Facebook, which have large server farms in remote locations. Proper thermal management of their servers is critical. Let's now have a look at selecting a product based on fan and blower specifications. Here we see the key specifications for fans and blowers. Airflow is the measurement for the amount of air moved by the fan or the blower. Noise is the amount of audible noise that the fan or blower makes. Static pressure is the resistance to airflow caused by the air moving. Speed is the measurement of how fast the fan blades are rotating. Voltage is the input to the fan or the blower. Size is the physical size of the fan or the blower. Bearing is the design or the type of the bearing on which the fan rotor spins, which we will go into more details shortly. One other feature of fans is an added wired functionality. Fans and blowers will typically have two wires, positive and negative, red and black. However, there are some additional wires that can be added for further functionality. When it comes to three-wire products, the most common third wire seen in the market is a tachometer, also known as a frequency generator, signal wire. A tachometer signal measures the speed at which the motor is rotating. It can be thought of as essentially a speedometer for your fan or your blower. This third wire option is available on all CUI Devices fan and blower products. Also available are four-wire configurations. The four-wire products consist of the tachometer wire and a PWM control signal wire. This wire provides the ability to control the speed of the fan using pulse width modulation and is always used in tandem with a tachometer wire, as you will need something to tell you the speed of the fan if you are going to manipulate the speed of the fan. When four-wire fans are used together with a microcontroller, the speed of the fan and therefore the airflow as well as the noise level can be adjusted according to temperature swings and needs in an electronic system. 4-wire configurations are available on the vast majority of CUI Devices fans and blowers. One critical piece of choosing a fan for an application is understanding the fan's performance curve. Fan performance curves are characterized by plotting airflow against static pressure. In order to read the airflow graph for a system, you must first calculate your system impedance. Once system impedance is calculated, it can be overlaid on the fan curve to determine operating performance of the fan under your system's conditions. A fan's bearing is arguably the most important piece of the fan motor. Fans work by using a rotor or shaft that spins on a bearing. This is what actually moves the fan's blades and delivers airflow. Reliable operation of the fan bearing is key to the design, as fans can rotate literally thousands of times per minute and hold lifespans of many, many years. Because of this, bearings are put under major stress. The fan's life depends on the bearing. There are two traditional bearing designs when it comes to fans and blowers, the sleeve bearing and the ball bearing, which we'll go into more detail in the coming slides. But there is another type of bearing design that helps bridge the gap between sleeve and ball bearings, CUI Devices' innovative omniCOOL system, which we'll also talk more about in the coming slides. The key specifications that are affected by fan bearing design are the lifespan of the fan and the noise level of the fan. In general, sleeve bearings have shorter lifespans than ball bearings. However, sleeve bearings are also typically a bit quieter than their ball bearing counterparts. Let's now have a look at the bearing types in a bit more detail. The first bearing type we'll look at is the sleeve bearing, which consists of a central shaft that rotates inside a cylindrical sleeve-like structure. Oil is added to this sleeve structure to lubricate the bearing and enable the shaft to actually turn. The image on this slide represents a cross-section of a sleeve bearing. You can see the shaft with the sleeve structure around it. Some of the benefits of sleeve bearings are that they are highly impact resistant due to their rugged design, and they are also the least costly type of bearing. On the other hand, there are some drawbacks to sleeve bearings. The friction created by the shaft rotating limits how quickly and easily the fan can be started, meaning startup power is higher and more power is required to start and keep the fan turning. Also, there's nothing holding the rotor in position, which gradually wears down inside of the bearing bore. Because the rotor is not otherwise supported, they cannot be mounted at any angle. Additionally, the oil ring and washer causes the aforementioned friction to remain in the bearing, which then solidifies and can clog the bearing. Because of this, typical lifetime on a sleeve bearing product is about 30,000 hours, so they're typically used in applications which hold shorter lifespans. The next common type of bearing is the ball bearing, which consists of a ring of steel balls surrounding the shaft. Typically, there are two ball bearings, one in front of the other. In the image on this slide, you can see a cross-section of a ball bearing fan. Ball bearings have many advantages over their sleeve bearing counterparts. There's little friction that must be overcome to start and operate the fan. There is also minimal tilt or wobble as typically seen in sleeve bearing designs due to the springs that separate the two ball bearings. Ball bearings can also be mounted at any angle due to the bearing support. And ball bearings also hold the longest operating lifetime at 70,000 hours. While ball bearings look to be superior to sleeve bearings up front, there are also a couple of drawbacks. They are a bit more sensitive than sleeve bearings due to the intricate design, and they tend to be a bit noisier than sleeve bearings as well. They are also the highest ticket bearing type. Ball bearings are widely used in more high-end, longer lifetime applications. As mentioned previously, there's a third type of bearing that CUI Devices offers, our omniCOOL system. CUI Devices has two specific bearing types under the omniCOOL umbrella. The first is the omniCOOL V type. This bearing incorporates magnetic rotor balancing that makes the rotor work like a spinning top, but one that never falls over and can operate at any angle. The magnetic structure sits in front of the rotor, and because its flux is in parallel to the direction of the rotor shaft, it uniformly attracts the entire rotor at any angle. This effectively keeps the rotor suspended in air. That is, there is no weight on the shaft or the bearing sleeve. The advantages of this unique design are the reduction of friction that must be overcome to start the fan and operate the fan motor, and it also minimizes any tilt or wobble as seen in traditional sleeve bearing designs. Additionally, these products are lower cost than ball bearing products with performance and lifetime ratings similar to ball bearing products. The other omniCOOL system design is denoted as the C-type. This design incorporates an enhanced bearing design with specialized grooves on the outside of the bearing that assist with circulation of lubricant around the bearing shaft. As the fan begins to rotate, heat is generated which naturally draws lubricant up between the bearing and the shaft. The specialized grooves on the outside of the shaft then move the lubricant back downstream, forming an improved lubrication cycle. This movement reduces friction and buildup of lubricant, which is often a failure point in fans, particularly in sleeve bearing fans. In addition to the reduced friction, this bearing type also reduces noise level as compared to ball bearings. omniCOOL C-type fans hold a price similar to sleeve bearings and a performance similar to ball bearings, with a lifetime of roughly 50,000 hours. Let's compare the two bearing designs under the omniCOOL umbrella. The omniCOOL C-type utilizes specialized grooves in the bearing itself to assist with the movement of lubricant, therefore reducing friction and buildup of gases as seen in standard sleeve bearing designs, which is often a failure point in fans. The C-type is the lower cost option of the two omniCOOL designs, holds short lead times of 10 to 12 weeks, and has a life expectancy of 50,000 hours. We would recommend omniCOOL C-type if cost and lead time is a key factor in product decision, and if the lifetime of the application is up to 10 years under continuous operation. On the other hand, the omniCOOL V-type utilizes magnetic rotor balancing to keep the rotor suspended in air via attraction of magnets. The V-type is the higher cost of the two omniCOOL designs. It holds longer lead times but has a slightly longer life expectancy of 70,000 hours. We would recommend the omniCOOL V-type if cost and lead time are not a driving factor in product decision and if an application lifetime is expected to be 10 years or more under continuous operation. CUI Devices omniCOOL bearing systems hold a couple of competitive advantages. The first of these being cost, in particular our omniCOOL C-type. These products run around 30% lower cost than their ball bearing equivalents and around 20% lower cost than their omniCOOL V-type equivalents. The other main advantage of our omniCOOL C-type and our ball bearing fans is our lead time of 10 to 12 weeks. Any series that terminates with a C, CF, B, BF, or BG will hold this advantage. For example, the CFM 40C series. And lastly, as with most CUI Devices products, we hold a strong position in our distribution channel, with around 70% of active SKUs stocked. When speaking of product advantages, it is always good to remember that not all fan manufacturers' datasheets and test methods are created equal. Some manufacturers only note maximum performance ratings, when in practice the fan may not actually meet those ratings. CUI Devices products are rated at typical values, meaning what you'll actually experience when using the product. We put this to the test by comparing a CUI Devices fan to one of equivalent performance from another manufacturer according to the datasheets. When tested, we see that the CUI Devices fan achieved almost exactly the airflow performance that we put on our datasheet, while the competitor's fan fell well short of their specified airflow of 23.5 CFM, measuring only 20.76 CFM once it reached peak operation. Let's have a look at another application example in a different industry, lab or medical equipment. Fans are used here to keep internal electronics cool for optimal performance or to ensure the heat-generating electronics do not interfere with equipment readings. That is, keeping electronic components cool to avoid interference caused by heat. There are any number of pieces of equipment in this industry that benefit from proper thermal management, such as microbial identification equipment, blood and urine analysis, anesthesia machines, and electrosurgical units. Considering the use of this type of equipment, it is really critical to have proper and reliable thermal management. Now that we understand a bit about fan and blower technology, let's have a quick look at CUI Devices' product offering. We break our product line down by bearing type: sleeve, omniCOOL, and ball bearing products. We carry over 80 different models that come with sleeve bearings, which consist of the rugged bearing design, making them ideal for more heavy-duty applications with shorter lifespans. The large bulk of our product offering comes in omniCOOL or ball bearing designs. We carry over 450 models with an omniCOOL bearing design, both the V-type, which utilizes a magnetic structure to balance the rotor, and the C-type, which utilizes specialized grooves in the bearing to assist with the movement of lubricant. Lastly, we carry over 550 ball bearing models, which hold the longest lifetime of the 3 bearing types. As with all CUI Devices products, we can offer customizations on our fans and blowers. The main customization we see is wire assembly, such as adjusting the wire length, gauge, color, or adding connector terminals and housings to the end of the wires for easy installation into applications. Additionally, we can support full thermal assemblies, combining fans or blowers with our other thermal products such as heat sinks and peltiers into one unit. For our final application example, we're going to take a look at something a little bit different than what we've looked at in our previous examples, which use fans specifically to cool electronics and move heat out of said application. Here, we have a commercial oven. The fan inside of the oven is used to move air around, which allows the hot air to circulate and maintain a consistent temperature within the oven. You can see this type of application in use in places like bakeries, restaurants, or even high-end home appliances. Lastly, let's have a look at some of the resources we offer to make our customers' lives easier. We offer 3D models to help streamline the design process. Users can view and download our 3D models in all major mechanical CAD formats free of charge directly from our website. We offer a number of handy calculators on our website to help convert data values between common units of measurement such as airflow, air velocity, thermal resistance, and conductivity. On our website, we offer a user-friendly parametric search via the main product pages. This helps narrow down specific products to meet the customer's needs by inputting required performance values. This is very helpful considering the size of our product offering at over 1,000 SKUs, as it allows for a quick and easy way to find a product to suit the exact needs of an application. CUI Devices' individual product pages are also loaded up with resources at the click of a button. You can check on available stock in our distribution channels, download our CAD models, request a quote or sample, view the product datasheet, and view our RoHS and REACH compliance documents. Lastly, CUI Devices continually publishes blog posts, videos, white papers, etc. on our website. As it pertains to fans, we have many blog posts covering some of the topics we've talked about today, such as fans versus blowers, understanding airflow, and understanding fan bearing types. We've covered a lot of material today, so let's do a quick recap of the highlights. Fans are an effective and efficient method of cooling electronic systems, particularly in applications where something like a heatsink doesn't get the job done. Fan lifetime is a key specification, driven primarily by the bearing type. Speaking of bearings, CUI Devices' omniCOOL bearing system offers some key advantages in terms of performance as it compares to cost. CUI Devices runs short lead times on the majority of our fans at 10 to 12 weeks production. We have a rather large product offering at over 1,000 SKUs, most of which are stocked in our distribution channels. When it comes to fans, applications are aplenty. Most electronic systems use some type of thermal management solution, and more often than not, it is a fan. We can customize products no problem, the most common customization of which is a wire assembly. And lastly, CUI Devices is here to help, so never hesitate to reach out to your local sales rep or our technical support line for any questions or comments. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned a bit about fans and blowers.